Gunstar Heroes is one of the best games ever made, not just for the Genesis, but for any system ever. I talked about this game in my videos in the past, but regrettably, I never actually gave it a review until now. I love this game. While it's pretty short, it's just unsurpassed when it comes to gameplay. You start off and you have 4 basic types of weapon, and then you can combine each one of these 4 basic types of weapon with another basic type of weapon to create an advanced type of weapon. Now, while there is a huge amount of weapon customization because of this, there's really only one weapon that I personally ever use. When you combine the movement-seeking green weapon with the laser weapon, you get a really strong and precise movement-seeking laser. And this is by far the best weapon in the game. It can destroy bosses and regular enemies alike. The only problem with it is it sometimes attacks a target that you don't want to, or a target that's not even an enemy but just some kind of obstacle while an enemy is trying to hit you. But other than that, it's just the perfect weapon to completely pass this game in one sitting. And this is exactly what I did for this review. I finished the game in less than an hour and 30 minutes, which, like I said, makes this a pretty short game, but it more than makes up for it in pure, unadulterated fun. Now, the weapon I'm going to be using all throughout this review is, like I said, this movement-seeking laser. I call it a movement-seeking laser, although sometimes it goes after things that don't move, like obstacles, but it's really the only way I can describe it, because a lot of the enemies don't have heat, like they're robots, or just things that don't really give off the type of heat you would have in a human body. So calling it a heat-seeking weapon would be kind of silly, and then calling it just an object-seeking weapon would be ridiculous, because then the weapon would just try to destroy every single thing, background included. Now, the game starts off with 4 levels that you have to pass before you move on to the harder parts of the game. This is the first level we're playing here. This is this weird gnome village. And this has a few bosses that you defeat, just like every other level. This game is very boss heavy. That's one of the really fun things about it. There's so many bosses. I mean, I didn't count them all, but there's gotta be over 30 different bosses in the entire game, combined together. After running through the enemies and fighting a few mini-bosses in this level, you come upon the final boss of the level. It's this robot thing. And basically, you destroy it just like you destroy every other boss with my weapon setup. You hold down the shoot button, and the movement-seeking laser automatically locks onto the enemy. You actually have to lock onto the right place, or else you'll be hitting something that's not really hurting the enemy, like its feet. You have to hit it right in the middle of its body. That's how you do damage to it. And right above the enemies, you will see numbers going down. These are the enemy's hit points. And of course, your hit points are your vitality to the top left. The next level I chose to play is this tunnel level. In this level, you have a little kind of mining cart, and so do all the other enemies. And also, a lot of the enemies are on trains, and you have to destroy the ones inside the trains. This is a really fun and unique level. Just like, hell, every other level is really fun and unique. I love this game because of that. Just because of how much content is in it. You know, for a game that's just under an hour and 30 minutes long, playing, you know, maybe not your first time. Maybe your first time, it'll take you over 2 hours to finish it. But, you know, someone that's played this game extensively like myself, under an hour and 30 minutes, there's so much content in it that it makes up for how short it is with just how much is in that time frame of playing. It's just non-stop action, tons of different enemies, and tons of different bosses. The boss of this level is this guy in a really high-tech mech suit who takes on different forms, and after you destroy one form, he turns into something else. So basically, you have to beat a bunch of bosses in one sitting for this boss fight. With every form, the strategy is basically the same. Just memorize its movements and get out of the way when it's moving. You have to predict and remember how it's going to move to beat this boss without getting hit. But even if you do get hit a few times, this boss won't be the end of you, especially if you have my enemy-seeking weapon that I use. This boss is actually pretty easy if you have this awesome weapon set up. Once every boss is defeated, you collect a gem from the boss, and you need this gem to give to a guy that kidnapped your partner or girlfriend or sister or something. The next of the 4 levels I picked is this weird moving spaceship level. Basically, you have to catch this spaceship, which isn't really a big problem. You just have to keep hopping upwards until you actually reach a platform on the spaceship and jump on the spaceship. I don't know if I want to call it a spaceship because it has propellers, which is really weird that in the future they're still using propeller technology to carry this gigantic metal behemoth into the air. You think they would use some type of anti-gravity technology or even jet power, you know, but to use propellers, it's strange. After fighting a few mini-bosses in this level, and I have to say, all the mini-bosses are pretty easy, but really so are the bosses, unless you're playing on hard. I'm playing on normal. I just want to give you guys the basic, average playthrough explanation of what this game and the difficulty of what this game is for an average player. After you beat the few mini-bosses in this game, you finally reach the boss. And he's like this hulking captain in the space flying air military or some shit. Just think a little bit, get his pattern down, try to avoid his hits because this guy actually does hit pretty hard. But he doesn't have that many hit points because obviously he's not in a mech suit. He's just a guy that takes a lot of human growth hormones and eats a lot of horse meat. But yeah, just watch out for his magical like jet farts or whatever, and don't get too close because he'll obviously overpower you and throw you off, and you should do all right. In the next and final of the first 4 levels you have to pass, you get completely bombarded with a bunch of enemies. But again, when you have the movement seeking weapon that I do, it's really easy to destroy them even when there's a bunch of enemies and like this futuristic airship trying to destroy you at the same time. You see how I'm just running through the screen, not really worrying about the fact that the enemies are just cluster fucking every single inch of the screen's area? It's not a problem when you have such an awesome weapon. And I mean, I understand there's other weapons. A lot of people like other weapons. Like, a lot of people like the flamethrower weapon. I understand it does a lot of damage, but I don't like weapons like that just because it doesn't have the range of this weapon. Like, this can get any enemy at any part of the stream, and the most important thing is I don't have to aim it. I can focus on actually avoiding the enemies. At the end of this level, there's like this type of board game thing, and there's a ton of bosses on this board game. You see, you actually have to throw the dice here, and then you move. And if you move on any square that says fight, that's a boss fight. Now, not all these boss fights are hard, but they're pretty, some of them are pretty hard actually. And you gotta keep in mind that there's a good chance that you can land on every single one of them. So you could be fighting a dozen bosses. And you know what? With my luck, I actually did. So I threw the dice, and I got pretty big numbers, so I got to skip a few boss fights. But I still fought my share of boss fights. And I finally got to almost to the end of this board game. Almost to the end. And get this. Well, I don't need to tell you. I'll just show you what happened. The one place you don't want the dice to fall is the second to last square, because that takes you all the way back to the game. And that's where I landed. Isn't that great? All the way back to the board game. So all the bosses I missed, I have to refight with basically all the health that I have left from all the bosses that I had to fight. Now, like I said, these bosses aren't all that hard, but, you know, it's really more of the hassle of having to go through the entire board again than anything. the last boss of this entire level of bosses. And by the way, I reached him with only 41 vitality left because I had to fight like 12 bosses. I basically had to fight every single boss on that damn board game. He's again a guy in a mech suit. You have to time yourself just right, and you have to avoid his attacks. And again, the great thing about my weapon is it automatically locks onto the enemy and automatically hurts it, and I can focus on avoiding the enemy's projectiles, and that's really important in this level because the enemy's projectiles will hurt you pretty hard if you're not careful. I barely passed this guy. This is the second hardest boss in the entire game for me. Probably because I had to fight, 12 bosses before it all at the same time, granted, but it's still pretty difficult. So you got all the gems, and then the dude's like, ha ha ha, I kidnapped your girlfriend or whatever, come to me with the gems or else she gets it. So now you gotta go through more levels, and I hate to sound like I'm whining because that's awesome, it's really fun. Now, a lot of people don't even realize that there's way more of the game than just the 4 levels you see in the beginning. So here, I'm gonna show you some of that. This is, I guess, the 5th official level of the game, and there is just a clusterfuck of enemies in this level. This is really hard on hard, especially without the movement-seeking laser. So be warned, this level can take a lot out of you. But with the movement-seeking laser, as you can see, it isn't that hard because the laser basically just cuts through all the enemies like they're butter. The boss here is that Red Captain we got a small glimpse of in the Airship level, but he's a lot harder in this part of the game. But he's still not the hardest thing ever. You just avoid his bombs, avoid getting kicked by him, and you'll be alright. Next, out of nowhere, the game just leaves its original genre, and now it's a scrolling space shooter. I mean, that's so cool. Hello, Gyrus. Wonderful. I really respect that the game is already really fun and awesome, but then it throws in a completely unique and different aspect of gameplay for one level, and this is probably the longest level, so be warned. And it's pretty difficult. There's enemy projectiles from all around, and like I said, it's a really long level. There's a lot of enemies. There's also asteroids, which you can't even destroy with your weapon, so you really just have to focus on avoiding them. After the harrowing space battles, you reach another boss, and this is kind of like the mastermind brain boss thing that uses telekinetic powers to hit you with metal objects, and then out of him comes this gigantic robot made out of metal balls, and you have to fight him as well. Now we're getting to the home stretch. It's the bottom of the 9th. And you have to fight this, again, these 2 guys in a mech suit. And then, you have to fight another boss right away. This game, I'm seeing a pattern here. It's a never-ending supply of bosses. For how short this has way more enemy bosses than any other game. It's like all the original Mega Man games for the Nintendo combined don't make up how many bosses there are in this game. Or maybe they do. It's probably a little bit more, but still, I'm over-exaggerating. But there's a ton of goddamn bosses. For a game that's under 2 hours long, there's a ton of bosses. You can't walk 2 steps without a boss running at you. I beat you up already. Remember this guy from the Airship? Fine, I'll kick your ass again. He's a little tougher this time, but it's still not a big deal. He's one of the easier bosses. After the steroid abuser, we have this really cool ninja boss, and this guy is really hard if you go anywhere near him. The trick here is, you see the screen is divided up into 2 floors. Whenever he's on the bottom floor, you stay on the top. When he's at the top floor, you stay on the bottom. Obviously, this only works with a weapon that has really good range like mine. But, yeah, that's probably the best strategy. You don't want to be anywhere near his projectiles. They hit like a bitch, those ninja stars. And if he gets a hold of you, he'll throw you into a wall and he'll hurt you really bad. After the ninja, we have the honest-to-God final boss of the game. It's It's a robot with wavy blonde hair. Okay, whatever. He uses the powers of those gems to really give you a beating. This guy's hard. This guy's actually the first time I lost in the game. Thankfully, I restarted right at him with full life, so I was able to defeat him then. The game's ending is a really cool cutscene, and believe me, after all the bosses you fought, I just sat back, drank a nice, relaxing tea, and just enjoyed it. You know, I felt like I accomplished something, and I deserved watching this ending. Also, I gotta say, this cutscene kinda sets the game up for a sequel, so make of that what you will. But I'm not gonna ruin much of the story for you, and although I basically ruined most of the bosses. Yeah. So, thanks for watching. This is... you definitely gotta play this game. There's no way around it. If you haven't played Gunstar Heroes, you have to. It is one of the greatest games ever made of all time. The graphics are perfect. The music, the gameplay is surpassed by almost no other game. The only downfall this game has is it's pretty short, but it more than makes up for it with everything else. So yeah, this is one of the greatest games ever made. I can't stress that enough. I don't know a single person who doesn't like this game. If you don't like this game, please let me know. Please tell me in the comments. I can't even imagine what kind of person wouldn't like this game. That would be weird. It's like maybe someone's mom that doesn't know about games. Like, I don't like it. It's too violent or something. I don't know. It's impossible not to like this game, really. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.